to the world. Subscribe now to the Hot 97 YouTube channel. It's Ebro in the Morning with Laura Stiles and Rosenberg.
The people who are offended by Dave Chappelle's stand-up show are trying to create space to feel safe, to feel like they won't be attacked, they won't be physically harmed, and that the things that are hurting them are paid attention to. You know, at many different times throughout our history as a society here in America, a minority group has risen up and said, hey, ouch, this hurts. Please don't do that. Please stop doing that. Don't say that. That's offensive, right? And there's always like, get over it. No matter how big or small the minority group actually is. And I just want to say that people who are represent these groups and gather around and protest and draw lines, they're trying to create space in society to feel safe. And there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I thought the special was funny, but I also see why you're offended. And we recognize that. That's okay. And it also doesn't mean that the special has to get canceled or yanked or whatever either.
I just don't understand how people are so blind to that, though. I don't understand how people in a group, in any group, can so want people to understand their plight and root for people like themselves to get the recognition they deserve, the respect they deserve. They want the jokes to change, for people to realize you can't just say willy-nilly things about their group.
My group, whatever.
But this refers to all minority groups. And then at the same time, there's another group that is just being like, hey, please be an ally to us. Please don't fight us on this. And everyone's just, no, not you.
Because
we're just going to keep fighting you on this. It's how do people not see it?
Because it doesn't affect them directly, Rosenberg. That's the problem. Most people that I know are like, them. They're too sensitive. Okay, but what if it was something that directly affected you? Then it's like, oh, it's a different situation. That's the issue.
But it's not a different situation.
But I keep having arguments with people that I'm friends with who are black about this subject. And at the same time, if the jokes were from a comedian who dedicated 4 straight specials, so why can't black people just get off white people's back? And I know it's not apples to apples. I am aware, of course, that the plight of black people and the plight of trans people is different. In fact, that's the point of what Dave talks about. It is very clearly different. However, that doesn't mean that human feelings are different. And that doesn't mean that the desire for an ally and to be heard is different. So while we're all fighting for groups to be heard, and me as a white person, allyship is so important, right? Why does no one want to be an ally? Why is it so easy for people to not want to be an ally of the trans community?
Well, I'll tell you a step further. You don't even have to, I don't even think it's a requirement for you in our society, right? Of where we all believe that our society could be great. I don't think it's a requirement for you to actually empathize, right? Or even agree or understand when you create space and a safe space for somebody to say, right, that I'm not going to be harmed or that my feelings are going to be considered, right? Because I don't know if I completely understand the trans plight, but I know they're human beings. And I know they said that something hurt them. And right. I'm going to be like, all right, cool. I get it. And I hear you. And I'm going to make sure that I'm sensitive to that.
I know. Stop being generic in saying that because people are saying they're hurt by it, or because there are a specific group of people who are like, we're going to walk out of Netflix or we're going to do this. That does not mean everyone out there wants to cancel everybody. Some people's feelings are just hurt. And
they want to be heard. They just want to be heard, and they want to draw a line like, yo, please don't do that. And another thing is oftentimes when we hurt somebody, it's because we didn't even consider them. We weren't even thinking about their feelings.
Of course.
And so they want to be considered, guys.
Yeah,
that's all.
I always remind people, I was like, there are black trans folks Latino trans folks, Asian trans folks that not only feel the same levels of discrimination that you've been through, and then add another pile on them.
That's right.
Well, that part was completely
their own people dismissing them because they don't agree with their lifestyle or who they are.
Well, that was the biggest failure
It's
of Dave's whole
horrible.
thing. Dave totally overlooked the cross section of people who are both. He acted like it was just like you're black or you're trans. He didn't really think about, well, what about all the people who are both? I thought that was a miss.
It's nuanced, it's complicated, but I just want to make sure we said that on a Friday at least for our program, because it feels like
It's still
people
going
have a
around. You're right.
It's just a hard concept for people to get to just consider somebody else's feelings,
Have compassion,
and hear them and say, "Yo, I hear you. Yo, that special was funny to me, but I hear you, and I see why you'd be offended."
And can I just say, I've had a lot of friends of all backgrounds say to me, like, I thought it was funny. I just want to say to you very clearly, all due respect, if you're not trans, I don't really care. I don't really care if you thought it was funny. That's great that you thought it was funny. But it really, and you can enjoy it at home, but it doesn't change how someone who's of the group affected might feel by it. It just doesn't matter. There could be some comedian who sits around making Jewish jokes for an hour, and other non-Jews all sit around being like, I think this is funny. But if I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't think this is funny, this hurts my feelings, isn't that more important? Why is that so hard for people to understand?